I'm Stephanie Chavez, and welcome to the Project X video on working with your clay. In this video, we will cover conditioning and preparing your clay, some tips and tricks, and troubleshooting. Let's get started. When you first open your clay, it will feel hard. No worries, this is normal. Conditioning is the key to making it easier to work with. Start by pressing the clay down in its inner plastic packaging a few times. This helps to soften and loosen it up. Once it is softer, take it out and roll it thin. Fold it over and roll up from the fold to avoid trapping air bubbles. Repeat this a few times until the clay is soft and pliable. After conditioning, form the clay into a cube or ball and press out any remaining air. It is now ready to use. While you are working with your clay, keep it covered under a cup that has been sprayed with water. This will help retain the moisture. When you are done, wrap the clay back in its plastic and store it in its original package or in an airtight container. This will keep the clay fresh for your next creative session. To prevent your clay from sticking, it is important to use Liberation Spray Release Agent. This can be applied to your hands, roller, texture mats, templates, and any cutting tools that come into contact with the clay. Remember, just a light coat is all you need. Too much lubrication can actually cause issues. Be sure to avoid spraying or placing the release agent directly on or into the clay itself. If you notice your clay is drying out while you are working, don't worry. You can easily restore its moisture. Roll the clay out thin and brush a light layer of water over it. This will help distribute moisture throughout the clay. Then, fold the clay and roll it up to incorporate the water evenly. Depending on how dry your clay is, you might need to repeat this a few times. Alternatively, you can spray the clay with water, wrap it in plastic, and knead it until the moisture is well mixed in. Before firing your clay, it must be completely dry. Firing clay with any moisture can lead to air bubbles forming as the moisture tries to escape. You can let your clay air dry several hours to overnight, but in humid climates, you might need a heated drying source. An electric hot plate or a coffee mug warmer works well to gently heat the piece and speed up the drying process. When drying your pieces, it is crucial to flip them over. This helps prevent warping. If you notice your piece starting to curl, simply flip it over and press it down gently. Keep repeating this process until both sides appear matte and the piece lays flat. Even when air drying, remember to flip over and tap it down occasionally. It will take a bit longer than with heat, but consistency is the key to preventing any warping. While it is possible to gently bend your piece after firing, keeping it flat during the drying process will make it easier to add any layers later on. To ensure your piece is fully dry before firing, you can perform a simple test. Place your clay on a metal scraper or a mirror. If you lift it off and see any moisture underneath, it is not ready yet. Make sure it is completely dry before firing. Once your pieces are dry, it is time to refine the edges by sanding. A sanding block set works great for this step. To save your sanding dust for future use, place a sheet of paper under your work area to collect it. Begin with the orange sanding block to remove any rough edges. Then switch to the pink block for finer smoothing and a polished finish. Be mindful, your pieces are extremely fragile in this stage. Support them carefully as you work. holding the piece close to the edge you are sanding to prevent breakage. You can also use a piece of craft foam cut at a sharp angle to smooth the edges. Just apply a little water to the foam and glide it over the edges for a polished look. Don't forget to save all of your dust, broken pieces, and scrap. This clay dust can be mixed with water to create a paste that's perfect for attaching layers, fixing cracks, or even adding texture to your pieces. Keep in mind that your clay will shrink approximately 25% as it dries and fires. This shrinkage occurs due to moisture leaving the clay and the binders burning away during firing. Here you can see an example of shrinkage, a side-by-side comparison of an unfired piece next to its fired counterpart. And the pieces shown here were all fired and retain the shape of the templates from which they were created. To repair cracks in your pieces, start by wetting the area around the crack with some water. This will help soften the clay and reactivate the binders. Next, use a small amount of wet clay or thick paste. Take a piece of craft foam cut at an angle and gently press the clay onto the crack. Use small circular motions to smooth out the clay and blend it in. Keep doing this until the crack is no longer visible. Once you have finished, allow your piece to dry again. If the crack is very deep, you may notice an indentation after drying. If that happens, simply repeat the repair process. If you have a protruding eyelet, you can repair this in a similar way. Wet the area and add a small amount of clay to the back of the eyelet and use your foam tool. Again, working in a circular motion until everything is smooth. Dry your piece again before firing. If you accidentally add too much water to your clay, don't panic. Your clay is not ruined. Place the clay in a piece of plastic wrap. If you find wet clay on your hands, rub your hands together to transfer any excess clay into the wrap. Then start rolling and kneading the clay while inside the plastic. This keeps your hands clean and helps incorporate the moisture back into the clay. Continue working the clay in the plastic until the moisture is evenly distributed and it feels less sticky. If it's extremely wet, you may need to let it dry out for a little bit. After working for a while, you should see that the moisture has been absorbed and the clay no longer sticks to your fingers. Do you want to create unique pieces beyond what's available in the kits and truly let your creativity flow? If so, you might find these adjustable depth gauges incredibly helpful. These useful gauges come in 5 different thicknesses with 2 of each thickness included. You can use them individually or stack them in various combinations to achieve a wide range of thicknesses. Plus, they can be oriented in different directions, making them versatile for various sizes and work areas. Hope you found the information in this video helpful. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the fabulous team at Clay Revolution.